I was planning on going to bed and you weren't going to. King Kong versus Godzilla.
Hello everyone, it's MykeCheck'd 95 along with
Green Rogers.
And once again we waited several months to do another movie of this damn series, but we're finally back on the next sequel of the Friday the 13th series.
And ironically, this lines up on Sunday the 13th.
Yeah. I'm only laughing because it's taken me almost 2.5 years to get this series done, and it's kind of embarrassing that it's taken me this long just to get this series done. What would you like to tell us, or tell the viewers, which one we watched this time?
Yes, we watched part 6, which would be the second one that I've seen out of the series.
Yeah, since you saw part 5.
Rewatching together with the reviews.
So I would like for you to take the floor first. This is one of my personal favorites and everything, but I would like to hear what your thoughts were because...
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more in-depth. I think some of my reviews, since we're all kind of getting set up, I'm going to be a little bit more in-depth on it than just, oh, I like this or I like that. That way we can have discussions and stuff, or disagreements. First thing I'm going to say is this was made in 1986, is whenever it came out. So this is a critical review, but also I'm taking it with a grain of salt with rating, giving it a little bit higher rating than I would otherwise if it was made today. So the budget was $3 million for this movie, and the box office hit at $19.4 million. So they made a lot of money off of this. So
because for that, it's like the fans wanted Jason, and they went back to Jason, and that's why it made so much money. Because It was Jason again.
To go into the reviews compared to what we're going to do versus Rotten Tomatoes, critics put the film at 4.8, and the crowd put it to 5.2. Off percentages. Since I have way more negatives than I do positives, I'm just going to quickly go over some of the positive things that I do like. In the very beginning, this is a small detail that I liked on the very first scene. They had the crazy guy that was with them that they broke out of the asylum with, or the mental hospital. He was showing that he was scared. His leg was shaking really bad, and it looked really natural, and I like that.
A little attention to detail, yeah.
Later on, whenever they did the flashback to Tommy, whenever he was killing Jason the first time.
Part 4, yeah.
That was a nice touch. Sometimes they tend to be lazy, but I like that.
Usually they show like flash is what's happening in the old movie. That was just like an audio track, and I actually like that more than just, flashbacks.
Or just assuming that like people watched it, that way they kind of get an idea. Because like some movies, like sometimes people just jump right in, especially whenever it's really popular franchises.
Yeah, and this movie's bad about that.
Little thing I liked was the couple that was murdered on the first thing. They broke the fourth wall temporarily.
Yep, I love that scene too.
The scene before Jason had a machete, when that one guy had a brand new machete, which I thought was weird, but he had a brand new machete. They teased that he was going to get the machete, or foreshadowed, because the way the scene they did it was over the top, like he was killing somebody, but he was just killing the tree. So you're just like, that was a good intro. Overall, there was really funny kills. The majority of the film, which that was negative and positive, like over the top anytime, because of his super uber strength, he would throw people ridiculously. I think one of my negatives that I put on here, which this one ties in with this, because sometimes it was positive, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. Mm-hmm. When he pulled the chick out of the fucking window, and he pulled her out of her slippers, and her slippers fell off. Stealth Jason, he got into the freaking... You said something about him getting houses so easily when he got in the camper.
Yeah, and...
That was like highlight high IQ. Like he could have just went in there and stabbed them, and then it's like he was trying to do more.
But that could also play into his power because it is
Transportation.
assumed that he has teleportation. Since he can just be from here to here to here to here like that.
And he doesn't give a shit if he goes into a crash. I thought that was funny. Like, he just was like, okay, cool. I'll just... And then he just... like it was nothing. Okay, so this was one of the bigger things that I enjoyed. So when he did crash out of the bus, and he broke out of the bus, there's technically was symbolism with the bus scene, like he was rising from the grave, breaking his way out, and then he's standing on the top, and everything around him's on fire. And he's trying to make the world burn because he's angry for what's happened. So that was a good scene of symbolism that I took from that.
I just thought it was a cool shot.
that was like good with directing.
Good symbolism.
Yes, with his story for himself, because he's clearly upset. You could tell that one chick was the final girl because she was smart and she started saying things that made sense. Jeez. Oh. So I'm just deciphering some of these notes. In the last one, in 5, Jarvis basically became Jason when he killed the person at the end, and then
supposedly,
and then the cop called him Jason at one point, like he compared him with that, and he didn't react to that at all.
Well, it's because the idea in 5 was for Tommy to become the next Jason, but the fans didn't like that, so they went back to the old formula. Yeah. That's why. And they retconned that.
I'll get to that, but I like that. Eerie weather from the very beginning of the film to like whenever things were starting to ramp up. Like at the beginning, it was the rise of Jason, and the weather kept getting worse and worse. And if you notice it towards the end, the wind started to pick up. It got colder. The setting looked more eerie, which they might just be doing that just for making it look more serious. But that was cool because like the closer Jason is to conflict, the worse it was getting there. I like that he used new weapons instead of just a machete, like the dart across the thing.
Although, one, how would he know how to use those? And two, a lot of people ask, where did he get that knife set and the darts?
So
people assume that he may have gotten it off of a body he killed.
Well, what about those nerds that were out there?
Could have gotten off of one of them probably, because he didn't have those yet.
Especially a guy that took it super seriously.
Yeah, I know the gloves he got from him being resurrected by, lightning.
The music was really good throughout.
Oh god, yeah, the soundtrack.
Because one thing you don't take for granted is music in movies. Imagine this movie with no music in it. It would be way worse.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably the one that has the best soundtrack in it.
Because it makes you feel uneasy every time there's a new body that somebody finds instead of going, oh, there's a body. It's like, plays a high-pitched music. It really gets you off tick. Undertaker? Whenever he got shot by the shotgun, he kept getting up.
Yeah.
I liked that, but it was goofy. And then I also liked the symbolism that with the new, whenever they're exploring the Jarvis becoming the new Jason, that Jason tried to drown him in the lake just like he drowned. So if he would have killed him there too, that would have been good symbolism because you tried to be me, so I need to, but you weren't really me, so I'm going to actually make you me. Those were all of my positives.
If that's what they were going for, because at the same time, like
that's something they could do.
Yeah, that's stuff like you're looking at and you're like, that's stuff they could have done, or that's something like you're like pulling like strings at. Which I mean, I'm not saying that you're pulling shit out of your ass. Like all that makes sense. It actually can tie in to part 5 if you actually really think about it and actually think. But I know that they were just like.
So here's another thought. So maybe they went with this new direction, the direction of not having him go there, but they still liked the idea, so they just put hints in here that people could read into and go like, oh, that's cool. It's pretty hard to accidentally do something like they're just like, hey, he's gonna go in the lake and then he's gonna try and drown him and he's gonna drown him too. Like that's not an accident. Like I think that they're trying to like pander to the fans that wanted that, but for the most part, move on kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be all my positives. So that's going to eliminate it from being a 4 or below. And then all of my negatives. Here we go. Okay, first one is at the very beginning of the show. He breaks out of an insane asylum with this other guy that's supposed to be crazy as well. Why did he seem so normal?
Jarvis?
No, not Jarvis. Well, Jarvis did seem normal, but the other guy too. He was supposed to be in an insane asylum. He seemed normal. He didn't seem like there was anything wrong with him. Compare it to 5. when they had the people in 5, everyone that was at that house, you could tell that there was something wrong with them. From that to the guy with the axe, to the fat guy that had compulsive issues, to the chicks that were, what's the word for people that are addicted to sex? People that are addicted to sex. Klepto? No. So you could tell in the old one that they had issues, and in this one, I feel like they just did it for exposition. Like, maybe he just had, like, schizophrenia or something. Mm-hmm. And, like, sometimes people like that, they have an adapted personality. So, like, he was adapting to Jarvis's personality, but then when it got too real, that's when you started to see him freak out. So that's the only thing there. Okay, so this one really pissed me off. Continuality. The retcon bullshit where he killed him, but he didn't kill him, and now he's chasing. Jarvis doesn't seem like somebody who's killed somebody. They make him, he's almost, I wrote this on my later notes, but he almost seems like a completely different person than the one we saw in the last one.
Yeah, and the other issue that...
He was crazy in the last one.
The other issue that the Jarvis trilogy has, part 4, 5, and 6, is that they changed the actor in each one. The kid's a different actor, the person in part 5 is a different actor, and this is a completely different actor. That's the only thing where I wish it would have stayed the same if it was the same person. But I also get it that they couldn't use the kid actor from part 4 for part 5 because they wanted to be several years in the future. That's my only issue with the Jarvis trilogy, is that it's...
Like, it's a waste of... It's
actors.
I equivalent that with the DC cinematic universe. It's something that could have been good, but they fucked it up.
But then again, we don't know who fucked it up. Here, it's just...
Something happened and they didn't tell the story. They shouldn't have done that at all.
They shouldn't have done part 4. At this point, they shouldn't have done part 5.
Did they explain that they're retconning it out, or did they just move on to the next movie and confuse audiences when it came out? Because there's no internet back then, really. So, like, you're going to a movie theater, and a year later, this movie comes out.
I think they were just like, Jason's back.
Yeah. So I felt like that took so many points off the movie, because continuality in a long series like this is important.
From the documentary I remember watching for the entire series, they're pretty much saying, based off of off the sales of part 5, because they were going to continue with the idea of part 5, but they saw that no one was liking the idea. The negative side was up higher than the positive side of it, so they pretty much were just like, okay, well, we're just going to have to make the fans happy and bring Jason back. So they brought in a new director, and the director's like, oh, I can do this, bring Jason back.
And I can see why there's issues in the current day trying to make more. The body decomposition of Jason. Now, I was thinking about this throughout the movie and trying to think about, since it is Jason, I'm going to say that the rules just don't apply realistically to Jason as they do here. So I'm going to say the decomposition was off. Somehow he has materials in his clothes that are able to withstand bodily acids and toxins that release from the body after you die up to a year. So
you would have to figure out
movie sin number 68.
How long he was pretty much dead. So you have to take the amount of years between 4 and 5 and then 6, and that would tell you how long he's been dead, which I'll put up.
So the clothing thing was the big one for me, where I'm like, okay, wow. Within 365 days, generally his clothes should have been completely
and he was dead for more than a year.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much.
The CGI of the lightning at the beginning of the film was cheesy as fuck.
Again, I'm only defending it because it's the 80s.
Okay, tell me about this, Michael. This is logic with Jason, and I think this is plot armor. The very beginning, he is awake, sees Jarvis, stares at him. Very slow, and he hesitates. Maybe he's intimidated by Jarvis, but then when he turns around and the crazy guy's behind him, he insta-kills him by putting his hand through his heart, and he doesn't hesitate whatsoever. Why did he hesitate there, but not there? I just thought it was weird, because it wasn't like it was like a short time. He was like staring at him. You looked at me, and you saw me write this down on the paper whenever this happened, and I think you knew there was going to be a negative. James Bond, for the...
That was...
Why, how, and how was the reception when it came?
I guess he thought it'd be cool and funny, and it was different, and I guess Bond was pretty big at the time. It's Jason, but why? Why?
So, moving on, I think that was one of the worst things I've ever seen in a Jason film.
There's a reason why this film is so decisive. A lot of people that I know personally, for the most part, and online, like Part 6. And there's a few that I know that absolutely hate Part 6 for the same reason that people like Part 6. Is the whole comedic part.
Here's my thing. I remember always liking Jason kills that are funny and go ha ha, or he pops up in a window and you're like, hello there. I like that. But I don't feel like there's a good combination of that and serious, oh fuck, it's Jason.
You also got to take into consideration that they're also copying the formula of A Nightmare on Elm Street at the time.
Why would you need a scope?
A what?
A scope on a Magnum.
Ya bang?
It's like a joke on video games whenever you can do that. It's like, oh yeah, I put a scope on my pistol so I can snipe.
I think that was also to make it look ridiculous.
Yes, and they achieved it.
And I even was just kind of like, that looks like a cheese, easy cheese squirt canister.
And it didn't even look realistic. It reminded me of what were supposed to be the little paintball guns at the beginning of the film.
Ya bang.
Speaking of which, the guy that was holding the paintball gun by the barrel.
I wasn't even sure if you knew that they were playing paintball when you first saw them on the TV on the screen.
No, I knew it was paintball. After the first 5 seconds. Film was full of cliches, but you know that's Jason films. One-liners, things were cheesy.
How about the fact that he threw that guy into the tree so hard that his head made a smiley face on the tree, which I think...
Bad sex scene.
Funny thing, the girl in that scene was actually a porn star and she did not want to film that scene naked.
So...
Still cringy though, but her death was hilarious.
Yeah. And my god, that was just... It didn't look like sex. I've seen sex. Trust me. It looks like she was a small child and she was like, hi, in a non-sexual way. Daddy, how are you doing today? How was your work? It did not look like sex. And then the dude, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but I don't know about you, but if I'm having sex and I'm laying down like that, I'm not like, like he was like sticking out his chest. Like he looked more like a woman than a man.
You realize the sex in these movies are always so bad.
I know, but I hadn't seen it in so long. I was just culture shocked. I was like, because when I was this young to watch this, I was not allowed to watch the sex scene.
So you haven't seen this film in probably at least 10 plus years.
Yeah, the stupid sign. Can somebody please answer what the stupid sign was?
The speeding?
They had a bus full of kids go to this camp that used to be Camp Crystal Lake on Friday the 13th.
Set a year after the imposter kills.
Set a year after. Who the fuck decided that? Are you ready to hear the stupid Freddy thing that I pulled in?
Sure, rope it in.
So, whenever they're going into the camp, if you notice to the left, there is a totem pole. So on the totem pole, it says the core values that they have. So, I wrote those down to see if I could make an acronym out of that, to see if that's a reference, and I did. The initials are FSICSRT. So it means Freddy sleeps in.
When you take notes, I can't read your own handwriting.
In church Sunday reception, planning treachery.
You. I'm just imagining Freddy in a little bed with a blanket and his hat like tucked under the pillow next to the pillow, and he's just sleeping in the middle of a fucking church.
So this puts and like I said, with these more details, I put negatives versus positives, and I mark off which is what. So that lands my final rating at 5.4.
And I would respect that rating since it is coming from you.
And comparing to my ranking between this and the other ones I've said, I'm going to say this was a higher ranking. The last one was 3.5, so I'm putting Part 6 as the best so far, and Part 5 is the second best.
Yes, and C's.
From 5 on.
From 5 on. You know that this is one of my more favorite ones, and my rating system is a little bit more flawed than yours. I am going to have to go with, and I know you're going to fucking pull your goddamn brain out when I say this, I'm giving this one a 7.5. Because in my eyes, 7.5 is average.
Average?
Yes.
What's the lowest you've ever rated a film?
0. And it wasn't any of these Jason films so far. I don't think things are going to get really rough with these Jason films until we get to part 8. And we're only on part 7.
Wait, we're watching all of the Jason films, right? We have to watch Jason X.
Yeah, I'm saying like things don't get rough until you get to part 8. Pretty much, I bounced off all of my like thoughts and everything off of you and your notes and everything, so it actually worked out that way. I guess I really don't have anything super bad to say about this movie.
Was there anything that you would disagree or that you didn't think of that I had brought up?
I mean, a lot of that was just stuff I was defending, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff you were like, oh, this is too unserious, and I'm like, comedy. Like a lot of stuff that you were nitpicking and saying that were not bad. I'm like, it was comedy, but I enjoy it, but I know that it's not good. But I like cheese.
On part 5, I thought it was terrible and awful and bad. This
up to the last 5 minutes.
This is coming up on okay. So it's making progress, but I feel like as the series goes on, they do better. But like last time, it was yeehaw bullshit, and now it's a little bit of that with the cops, but a little bit with the cops.
It's better from here. Let's just get through part 7, and then everything.
In fact, I think
down.
it's going to peak at by peak I mean it's going to be the best at Jason Goes to Hell.
I just know that after part 7, we're going to be going on a boat trip to hell. This is MykeCheck'd 95 and
Krieger
and I.
One.
We will see you later. Signing out.